The point I'm trying to make here is that you can't have a cookbook approach to producing a complex documents. People who've heard me talk before will know that I often link writing and cooking because they seem to me to have great overlaps, perhaps because I love to cook as much as I love to write. But a complicated document is not something that you can apply a cookbook solution to. So it doesn't make sense as a comms person to say, right, we've just done this big complicated document, let's produce a template with a whole pile of starting sentences and a whole pile of choices that people need to make in producing this document for the next 5 years. And they'll just reproduce this template each time. And it doesn't work like that because the content is context specific, complicated and messy. It's going to change each time we do it. And so we can't have an inflexible guide or an inflexible template. I'm not saying that you don't have a template. I'm just saying that that template becomes a very loose, changeable structure with questions that you ask rather than like a fill in the dots kind of approach. When we're producing a document like this, it really needs to be based on what our audience needs to read and what we know about our audience, not on what the organisation needs to say or wants to say. So we approach it by saying, who's going to read this? What do they need? And also what outcomes are we trying to achieve here? So with this document, what's going to happen? Who's going to do what? And what kinds of questions do we need to be asking? And that's a different stance from saying, I am this organisation, so I'm the audit office, I want to tell you that this happened and you should do this. It's a different approach. And it's about stats and the way you ask the questions. Okay, so we can't have a cookbook solution to this. It's not about having a right answer or knowing the right answer. It's about saying, these are the questions I'm going to ask. And each time I make a decision about writing, I've asked these questions and therefore I know why I've made the decision. And when you're a comms person, that gives you a fairly strong foundation for when somebody comes in and says, I think we need to make this change to the document. You can then talk through the thought process that led you to the structure that you've got and have an argument about, yes, it should be changed or no, it shouldn't be changed for these reasons. So you're talking about content rather than taste all of a sudden.